You're listening to the Bar Business Podcast, where every week, your host, Chris Schneider, brings you information, strategies, and news on the bar industry, giving you the competitive edge you need to start working on your bar rather than in your bar.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Bar Business Podcast, your ultimate resource for bar owners. I'm your host, Chris Schneider. In today's episode, we'll be delving into how your mindset actually sets the standards for your bar and how important having the right mindset is to everything else that happens. And it is really hard for me to overstate the importance of having the right mindset for your business to be able to flourish. One of the biggest factors on the culture your bar has, your employees' behavior, everything that happens is your personal mindset. And there's a reason why, if you look at the framework that I follow of mindset, concept, culture, mindset comes first. That's because it truly is the foundation of everything else. If you don't have the right mindset, you'll never develop the right concept. And that does sound a little odd because a concept is menus, it's interior design, it's all sorts of physical things that don't really have to do with your mindset. But if you take a mindset that is closed, if you're not open to other people's ideas, if you're not constantly looking to improve yourself and to develop a positive mindset, your concept will never reach the great heights that it should be able to. And part of that is mindset goes beyond just the business that you have. Mindset goes into your entire life, how you do things, how you view the world. And by having a positive mindset, by maintaining a worldview that is conducive to success, you really put yourself on the right path. And the other thing, we'll talk about this more at the end, but the other thing that a great mindset does for you is it allows you to have direction in what you're doing. Your mindset sets the stage for everything that you do and how you do it. One of the most important things to understand when it comes to building the right mindset and your overall view on your business is you cannot be a hypocrite. And far too often, the bar business is one where a lot of the businesses are run by people that are frankly hypocrites. And hypocrites are, to put it mildly, assholes. I can think of a lot nicer ways to say that, but it really is true. Hypocrites are assholes. And people don't work for assholes. If you think about every restaurant rescue show, bar rescue show, I don't care who it is, I don't care when it was made, there is one common thread through all of those shows. And mostly, it's the owner's mindset is not in the right spot for them to be successful. And most of those shows show us owners who are hypocrites, who expect their team to do something that they aren't willing to do. They expect other people to behave in ways that they do not behave. And that's never going to work. You have to get your team on board with what you're doing. You have to get your team to do what you need them to do in order to make your business successful, but they will never do that if you're not doing it yourself. There's just no frickin' way in the world you're going to convince a bunch of people to follow you and do something that you are unwilling to do. And again, this is far too common in the industry, and it is the basis of almost every frickin' TV show about restaurants and hotels that exists. But being a hypocrite really comes down to one thing. It comes down to a lack of professionalism. And this is something pervasive in our industry, is a lack of professionalism. And let's be real honest here. There have been a lot of changes in the past 40 years in what's acceptable in hospitality. I don't care if we're talking about bars or if we're talking about fast food or if we're talking about fine dining. There have been a lot of changes in our workforce and in the way people behave in our industry. Now, that's not to say that there still aren't a lot of the things that we saw in the 90s, the work hard, play hard lifestyle, exorbitant use of drugs, people sleeping with each other, and managers and owners sleeping with their staff. All those things still happen today. But they shouldn't. You're not putting yourself in a good mindset. You're not creating a culture that will work for your bar if you're doing any of that shit. Even if you could get away with it 20 years ago, doesn't mean you should do it today. And part of that is our workforce has changed. The folks that work for us are not the same as they were in the 80s and 90s. Right now, we have a workforce made up a lot of Gen Z people. And I hate to break it to you, but Gen Z is way different than Gen X when it comes to what they're going to put up with in a restaurant and in a work environment. And maybe a great example of this, because I'm sure most of you have seen the movie Waiting. Watch the movie Waiting and think of the jokes that they're pulling. Think about the way they talk to each other. Think about all those things that happen in the interactions in that show. And I will tell you that in 2005 or 6 or whenever that came out, I think it was mid-2000s, that show was pretty accurate to my experience in the restaurant and bar business. I saw people behaving like that on a daily basis. Now, maybe not spitting in food and things like that, but a guy on the line pulling his balls out behind the line, I might have seen that a couple times. The thing is, though, that if you think about that show, if you watch the movie and you think about that in today's world, the things that happen there, your employees today would not put up with. That means we have to modernize. We have to move to a mindset that fits the situation we're in today. And we have to accept and understand that along with a change in generations, along with a change in who we're employing, not necessarily the type of people we're employing, because largely in the bar industry, you've always had a lot of people in their 20s and 30s working in bars. That tends to be the majority of our workforce. But that workforce is a different generation. And I promise you right now, the one thing that will get under your millennial and Gen Z employees' skin faster than anything else is if you're a hypocrite. Because just like I said, hypocrites are assholes. That's how they view hypocrites. And so you have to not only talk the talk, you can't just tell people what you want them to do. You have to do it. If you don't want your employees to drink at work, well, then your ass better not be drinking at work. It's really pretty simple. And I should stop here and also say, and Waiting is another place where we can see this example. Sexual harassment is not cool. Let's just say that straightforward. Sexual harassment is not cool. We work in an industry that has been known for sexual harassment, that sexual harassment was rampant. And especially if you go back decades, there was a lot of things that happened that cannot happen today. So make sure that A, you're not sexually harassing people, but B, that if you're asking your team to do something, you are willing to do it as well. Because what I will tell you, and this is unequivocally true, and if anyone has an example of this that's going on today and can prove to me that I'm wrong on this, I'll give you some money. I'll do some free coaching for you. I don't know what I'll do. But you find me a business, you find me a bar that is putting 15, 20, 25% on the bottom line, where the owners are hypocrites, where they're not professional, where they are not doing the hard work day in and day out to maintain their positive mindset, to maintain a great culture for their staff. Because I don't think that exists. I really don't. The only bars that I know of that are really successful are run professional. They're run like any other business. So we can't be hypocrites. We can't rely on the idea that we're in a different type of industry, that we can do things that they can't do in other industries. Bullshit. We have to be professionals for our bars to thrive. So hopefully that lays the groundwork for you on why it's important for us to develop and maintain a positive mindset and to really go into work every day as professionals. I want to take a moment to highlight a powerful resource that could be a game changer for your bar. My book, How to Make Top Shelf Profits in the Bar Business. It's not just a book, it's a comprehensive guide with 75 lessons covering crucial aspects like bar design, menu creation, team culture, marketing strategies, and much more. Imagine having this wealth of wisdom at your fingertips. Whether you're a seasoned bar owner refining your craft or someone dreaming of stepping into the bar business, this book is your ultimate companion. You can grab a copy on Amazon in print, ebook, and audiobook formats. The link is in the show notes below. Join the league of successful bar owners who found their blueprint to working less in their bar and more on their bar. Let's talk about ways you can develop a positive mindset and some of the tools needed to get that mindset piece figured out for your business. And really, again, it's more for your life than your business, but your life influences your business because you own your business. So one of the big things when it comes to your personal mindset is actually the same as building a culture for your bar. which is that you need to define your values, your mission, your vision, what it is that you do every day. And when I say what you do, I don't mean the physical actions you take, but what is your purpose? What inside are you trying to do each and every day with your life? And so just like with a bar where we talk about missions, vision, and core values, for your personal life, you need a mission, a vision, and core values. And frankly, whether you're doing this for your bar or for yourself, the process is pretty much the same. And rather than start with mission or vision, I always like to start with core values. Because your core values speak to who you are as a person in this case. And if we were doing it for the bar, it would speak to what your bar is as a business. What's that culture you're trying to build for your team and your guests? But we're talking about you today. So what are your values? What do you go through life doing every day? What is that feeling, that sense that you want to give to the world? Now, some of these can be aspirational, but they need to be things that you can live day in and day out. Don't say you value honesty as one of your core values if you're a pathological liar. Now, if you're a pathological liar, there are a lot of other issues and things that you probably need to deal with. But your values need to speak to who you are, and they need to be true. They need to actually have impact in your life and be things that you already do. So when it comes to establishing what your core values are, always start by brainstorming. So write down a list of values that you either emulate in your day-to-day life or that you aspire to emulate in your day-to-day life. One thing that's very true, and this is true for your business and this is true for yourself personally as well. If you tell yourself, this is who I am, that is who you will become. Thoughts lead to action. Action leads to reality. So if every day you wake up and tell yourself that you believe in hospitality and one of the joys in your life is to help other people and to treat other people in a way that they enjoy your presence, they enjoy being around you, they enjoy dealing with you as a person. Well, as you day in and day out think about hospitality as something that you do, you will become that. So these can be aspirational, but they should be true to you as a person. Because let's face it, all of us, once you're 25 or whatever and your brain stops developing, all of us are pretty fixed. Who you are as a person does not change as you get older. Your approach may change. You may get softer on some points. I know when I was in my early 20s and owned a bar, I was a little bit more of a firecracker, let's say. I was a little bit more abrasive than probably I needed to be. Now I know that I don't have to be quite that abrasive to get the same results. But write a list of things that speak to you. And the goal here is to get as many values on paper as possible. Just brainstorm. Think of these things. And hopefully you're ending up with a list of 10, 15, 20 items. Because what we want to do is get more ideas down on paper, just like if we were doing this for a bar. We want to get more ideas down on paper than we're actually going to choose at the end. And so some ideas, because I'll tell you right now, these are the core values that I think about every day. Integrity, empathy, innovation, hospitality, and excellence. So those are 5 ideas. Maybe they speak to you, maybe they don't. Generate a list of words, of values that speak to you and that are who you are. Now, once you have that list, the first thing to do is to look at things that are significantly similar. Look at items that duplicate each other. So maybe you have both compassion and empathy written down. You can pick one, or you can pick a different word, another synonym that encompasses those 2 words even better. But start to whittle down that list by eliminating items that are similar or that are duplicates or words that are synonyms. And at the end, what you really want to do is end up with a list of 4 to 7 core values. Now, I think for yourself personally and for a bar, I like the number 5. I think 5 values is easy to remember. It's easy to understand, and it gives you enough to have some breadth there in what you're covering with your values. But I would absolutely challenge you, do not go over 7. Anything more than 7, it's too unwieldy. There's too much to remember there. So come up with 3, 4, 5, 6 values that really speak to you and that exemplify the type of person you either are or aspire to be. Maybe you know that you have empathy, but you don't display your empathy well every time. Or innovation is something that you want to make part of your life and that is part of your life, but you know that you can be more innovative than you are. Just because you're not living up to something to its fullest extent doesn't mean it shouldn't be a value. Because by making it a value, you will live it more. But you need a list, again, of 4 to 7 values that speak to you. Now, once you have that list of values, we've kind of created a list of things that you want to be in life, that you are in life. Now we go to your vision. And your vision is going to reflect your goals and aspirations. Not for your business necessarily, but for you personally. And vision is not necessarily something concrete. It's aspirational. It's more of a, when you die, what do you want your epitaph to be? What do you want them to write on your gravestone? How do you want to be remembered by the world? It shouldn't be about your business. And it really shouldn't be about money or any of those things. It should be more aspirational than that. Because it's a vision, it's a goal, it's an aspirational state that you're trying to achieve. So for instance, my personal vision is to become a global leader in the bar industry. Now, I'm far from that. And that's why it's aspirational. And let me be real honest with you, that's probably not the best vision in the world because it's too business focused. It's too focused on one aspect of my life rather than all aspects of my life. But right now, with what I'm doing and where I am in my life, that is what I'm focused on. That is my vision and where I'm trying to go to. And that's potentially another good thing to point out here. Your vision can change over time. Your vision may be business related now to some extent, but then be more personal related in the future. As we get older, as we change, we want different things. But you need a vision. You need a guiding beacon for your goals and aspirations. Then, once you have this kind of aspirational overall statement, your mission is more about your primary objectives, your North Star. It's what you get out of bed every day focused on doing. And that's the best way, I think, to talk about a mission. It's your purpose. So you'll hear other people use purpose statement. Your personal mission statement's basically the same thing. It is what you get out of bed every day focused on doing. And one of the great ways to look at mission is what are you doing and how does that help the world? So if your mission is to make money, okay, you're making money to do what? Because just making money so that I can buy a new car, that's not really a great mission. And I'll be real honest with you here. If your mission in life is to buy a nicer car, well, it's not really going to fulfill you and you're not probably going to get there. Because your mission has to be more about what your impact is on the world, what you're trying to do, and not just about things. And I think that's really true with vision, that's true of core values, that's true of all of this. It's not about material things. Because I promise you, if you have a bar that is running fantastically, where you have that 20% bottom line, where you are able to do things outside of your bar and expand your life outside of your bar more and more, the success will come with that. The money will come with the success. Having your mission in life be to make money, that's just, you're not seeing past today. You're not embracing all of the possibility in life. Now, another way to approach this, outside of doing core values, mission, and vision, would be to figure out your why. So I'm sure many of you have read Simon Sinek's books. If you haven't, go get them. They are fantastic on developing your mindset. But Simon Sinek's platform or concept is to start with why. So why here, much like we talked about mission, is that internal driving force that's what you do every day. It's what you get out of bed for. And again, it's not money. It's not notoriety. It is what you're doing that makes an impact on the world. And there is a very formulated way to write your why, and it's to blank so that blank. The first blank represents your contribution to the lives of others, and your second blank represents the impact of that contribution. So it's not about you even. It's about other people and how your life impacts them and what you're contributing to them. So for example, Simon Sinek's why is to inspire people to do the things that inspire them so that together we can change the world. And if you think about it, that's very aspirational. It isn't concrete, and that it's not saying that I'm going to do this every day. But every day, for Simon Sinek, that's what he gets out of bed thinking about. So if you're unfamiliar with his whole concept of why, and the book Start With Why, I highly recommend you buy it because it's a great tool for helping to hone in on your mindset. And I think why goes right along with mission, vision, and values as far as getting this stuff documented and giving yourself some structure to your mindset. Now, the other thing that you can do that is very helpful is daily review and meditation. And what I mean by that is every day you need some time to think. Too much in the world today, we run around like chickens with our heads cut off, and we're in our phone and we're on emails, and you're in a bar and there's crises and people calling you and regulars want to talk and some liquor order needs to get done and all this shit. You need time for quiet and thinking. Thinking is key. The most successful people in the world spend a lot of their time thinking because it allows you to clear your brain. And part of that thinking process is daily meditation. And I don't mean formal meditation. I don't mean sitting like a monk and saying Om. I mean just thinking about life, reflecting on life, clearing your head a little bit to allow good ideas to come through. And as part of that, something I recommend doing, and this sounds so stupid as I say it, and I realize that, is to get yourself in a ritual of doing daily affirmations, reading your mission and vision and core values, maybe saying positive things to yourself every day. And a lot of us have a jaded view of the idea of self-affirmation due to Saturday Night Live. What was it? Stuart Smalley? I think that was Al Franken, or I think it was Al Franken that did that. Might have been Dan Aykroyd. Can't remember. Doesn't matter. But, the guy on Saturday Night Live that used to look in the camera and say, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. Well, you don't have to look in a mirror and say those things. But it is important every day to reflect on yourself, who you are, your mission, your vision, your core values as you start the day, because then you're setting yourself up with that focus for the entire day. It will make it easier for you to make decisions. It will make it easier for you to go through life because you have this core set of principles that you're relying on as you make choices. Now, another thing that's important to include in your mindset, and that having a positive mindset this is absolutely key for maintaining a positive mindset, is that you have to find value in problems. You have to find values in the issues that you face. And we've talked about on the podcast multiple times, continuous improvement for your business, knowing your KPIs, having the idea that every day you improve a little bit. That works for you as a person as well. Try to constantly improve yourself every day. Try to be better today than you were yesterday. And just like with a business where we're talking about small improvements, little 1% tweaks that we become 1% better every day. If you do that in your personal life, you will become a person that you don't even recognize a few years from now, but you'll be yourself and you'll be more how you want to be than a slave to the situations that surround you. So find value in your problems. Every struggle, every failure you face is not something that should beat you down. I don't care what you've been through personally. It is an opportunity to learn. It is an opportunity to grow. It is an opportunity to know more about yourself and about the world around you. Now, obviously, if you do something really dumb, what you learn is, well, don't do that again. But find value in your problems. Don't let your problems weigh on you. Don't let them hold you back. Find value in them and find the strength to look at that and say, well, I learned this lesson. I failed here, but gosh darn it, I am going to do better every day. And I am going to make myself a better person because of this failure. Take what you can learn from it and move on. So between those things, you have to have your personal value statements, your mission, your vision, your core values, and your why, if you want to go down that route as well. You need to, every day, think about these values, think about your why, think about your mission and vision, and put those into your life. And frankly, every day you need to read those, you need to say them aloud, you need to give yourself time to think about them, and also make sure that you're finding value in your problems. So if you do those three things, you will develop a more positive mindset. And this is not an overnight thing. It is building a habit. It is trying to change the way your brain is wired a little bit. That takes time. But I promise a little bit of improvement every day stacks up to a lot. Hey there, bar owners. It's Chris Schneider, the Bar Business Coach. Are you tired of the daily grind and ready to skyrocket your profits? I've got the solution. With my coaching and consulting services, we deep dive into menu management, team empowerment, and business optimization. Instead of slogging away in your business day in and day out, washing dishes, covering for employees, and working 60+ hours a week, picture this: a thriving business that runs like clockwork whether you're there or not, letting you enjoy the successes that you've dreamed of. Let's make it happen. Visit barbusinesscoach.com to schedule your free 30-minute strategy session with me, or you can book a session just by clicking the link in the show notes below. Together, we will turn your business into a profit powerhouse. Because at the Bar Business Coach, our only goal is to help you spend less time working in your bar and more time working on your bar. So then the question becomes, you do all this personal work, what is the impact? Well, the major impact is it makes everything in your life and bar easier. And why does it make it easier? It's because it gives you a litmus test. It gives you direction in where you're going and how you need to be to get there. If you're sitting there wrestling with a hard decision and your values are integrity or excellence or innovation, you can say, well, is this supporting my integrity? Is this something someone with integrity would do? Is this innovative, or am I just recycling old shit and I'm not moving the ball forward? Is this actually something that is excellence, or am I just half-assing it? So your values become this litmus test, this wonderful thing, this tool you can use to look at all the issues you face, to look at everything in front of you and decide, is this making me better or not? Is this the direction I should be moving in or not? To be able to do that effectively, though, you have to give yourself a pause. And one of the things that happens to almost all of us, and especially as bar owners, because we're constantly getting pulled in 1,000 directions, there is almost always something of urgency that comes up, whether that's a customer we have to talk to or a piece of equipment that's broken, the cooler went down, the toilet's clogged. I don't really care. There are so many different things that can happen to us that seem like they are immediate and we must deal with them right now. And the knee-jerk reaction in a lot of those situations is to just make this rash decision without any thought. And so by understanding who we are, by creating this positive mindset and these values and mission and vision and understanding our why, by doing all of this, we're giving ourselves that litmus test. But the litmus test is only good if we take the time to reflect and use the litmus test. So regardless of what problems you face, regardless of what's going on, one of the most important things to do is that every time you're faced with an issue, every time a problem happens, every time something urgent needs your attention, rather than just diving into it and trying to deal with it without any thought at all, take a moment, reflect on your values, your mission, your vision. Actually take the time to think. We talked about thinking in the morning as just like something you should do every day. But every time you are in a position where you may make a rash decision, take a deep breath, take 30 seconds, take a minute, take 2 minutes, and reflect on how does this interact with my personal values? How does this interact with my vision for my life, with my mission in life? And will I be happy with this decision I'm about to make? Because too often it's way too easy to fall into the trap of making a decision right now because you need to be the decider, you need to be a decision maker, you need to make it happen. Don't do that. Take time to reflect. Take time to think. Take time to actually say, is this going to fit in with my core values? Is this going to fit in with my beliefs? is this going to fit in with who I am? Because again, the absolute greatest value of defining your values, of building a positive mindset, is it serves as a litmus test for everything that you do. So always ask yourself those questions. So to sum it all up here, your bar needs values. And we've talked about all the reasons why you cannot build a great bar culture without values, without having a litmus test for your employees to use when they make decisions. But you need that in your personal life too. You need to treat your personal life, your personal mindset, your personal life culture, if you will, as just as precious as the culture for your bar. Because at the end of the day, unless you understand yourself, unless you have something guiding you, it is impossible to do amazing things. Absolutely impossible. You need that clarity of understanding. You need that knowledge of who you are to drive what you do. And you can find that clarity in mission, vision, in your core values. Maybe you prefer Simon Sinek's Start With Why to doing a mission, vision, and core values. Maybe you want to do all of it. Maybe you want to do something totally different. It doesn't really matter how you approach this. It just matters that you approach it. And there are tons of different ways to get there. There are tons of different books written. There are so many books written on different methods for discovering yourself, if you will. But you have to understand yourself. You have to put in that work. Because when you do, it can lead you to amazing things. It can unlock potential in you and potential for your life that you did not think was possible before. That about wraps us up for today. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you like and subscribe. Leave a review. If you're on Spotify, if you're on Apple, wherever you are, leave a review. Spread the good word about the podcast. If you want to gain more insights and you want to interact more with me and other bar owners on how you can build a great mindset or anything regarding your bar, make sure to join our Facebook group, Bar Business Nation. There is a link for that in the show notes below. There's also a link in the show notes to schedule a strategy session with me so that we can talk about ways we can collaborate together to help to optimize your success. On that note, guys, I hope you have a fantastic week, and we will talk again later.
Thanks for listening to the Bar Business Podcast. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Check out our website at barbusinesspodcast.com and join our Bar Business Nation Facebook group for more strategies and tips.